The hum of the transport plane's interior is a sound that doesn't belong in the year 1582. High, above the mist-covered peaks of Honshu, 20 men sit in 2 rows, their faces darkened by charcoal, their bodies encased in high-tech Kevlar and ceramic plates. They are Delta Force, the tip of the spear, masters of a brand of warfare that the world below hasn't even begun to imagine. The green light flickers, a silent command in the belly of the bird. Static crackles in their headsets as the jump master signals the drop. One by one, they vanish into the cold night air, falling through time as much as space, hurtling toward a landscape of rice paddies, silk, and razor-sharp steel. When their boots hit the soil of Sengoku period Japan, the friction between the 21st century and the age of the samurai begins to burn. Captain Miller unclips his parachute, the silken fabric billowing like a ghost in the wind. Around him, his Team Viper is already moving with the silent, predatory efficiency that defines them. They are ghosts in a land of legends. Their objective is clear, yet seemingly impossible. Destabilize the ruling shogunate. Create enough chaos to shatter the existing power structure and survive. In their hands, they hold the HK-416 rifles, tools of precision that can strike from hundreds of yards away. In their minds, they hold the tactical knowledge of 500 years of military evolution. But as the sun begins to bleed over the horizon, illuminating the wooden fortresses of a nearby daimyo, the team realizes that their greatest challenge isn't the technology they lack. It's the sheer, unyielding will of the men they have come to displace. The first contact happens on a narrow forest trail. A scouting party of 12 samurai, clad in lacquered lamellar armor, rounds a bend. They stop dead, their eyes widening at the sight of these strange, charcoal-faced giants in camouflage. There is no negotiation. The lead samurai, a veteran of a dozen provincial wars, draws his katana with a fluid, terrifying grace. To him, this is a matter of honor and territory. To Miller, it is a tactical necessity. The suppressed cough of an assault rifle breaks the morning silence. It isn't the booming thunder of the primitive Tanegashima matchlocks the Japanese are accustomed to. It is a soft, mechanical thwip. The lead samurai drops before his blade is fully unsheathed. The others follow in a matter of seconds. No smoke, no screaming lead, just sudden, inexplicable death. The surviving 2 scouts flee into the brush, convinced they have encountered demons or perhaps mountain spirits. The word spreads through the valley like wildfire. A night demon brigade has arrived, wielding invisible arrows that strike with the speed of thought. The local daimyo, a man of cold ambition named Lord Ishido, doesn't believe in demons. He believes in power. He gathers his banners, summoning 3,000 Ashigaru spearmen and 500 mounted samurai. He views this small group of strangers not as a curse, but as a challenge to his divine right to rule. As the Delta operators set up a hidden perimeter on a ridge overlooking Ishido's castle, they watch through thermal optics. They see the campfires, the movement of thousands of men, the primitive logistics of a medieval army. They have the advantage of night vision and long-range communication, but they are only 20 men. They have limited ammunition and no resupply. Every bullet is a life. Every magazine is a strategic resource that cannot be replaced. As the days turn into a week, the psychological warfare begins. The Delta team doesn't engage in head-on battles. They are ghosts. They strike at the Shogunate's supply lines, detonating C4 charges under wooden bridges just as heavy grain carts pass over. They use laser designators to mark the daimyo's generals during night inspections, terrifying the guards with small red dots of light that seem to predict an instant silent death. The shogunate's forces are paralyzed. The samurai, trained for a warfare of ritual, challenge, and visible bravery, find themselves in a nightmare where there is no enemy to look in the eye. You cannot duel a man you cannot see. You cannot defend against a weapon that kills from beyond the horizon. However, the shogunate is not a stagnant entity. Lord Ishido is a brilliant tactician of his era. He realizes that these demons avoid close quarters. He notes that they move in a specific formation and that they seem to value their own lives with a strange intensity, never leaving a fallen comrade behind. Ishido changes his strategy. He stops sending small patrols and begins to burn the forest. He forces the Delta team into the open, using the smoke to negate their long-range visibility and the fire to funnel them toward a narrow gorge. The technology of the 21st century is powerful, but it is still subject to the laws of physics and the raw brutality of nature. The climax arrives at the mouth of the Dragon's Gate, a rocky pass where Ishido has massed his final reserve. The 20 operators are low on ammo. Their suppressors are glowing hot, and the constant strain of being hunted by thousands has begun to fray even their elite nerves. Miller looks through his optics and sees a wall of steel, thousands of spears leveled, a sea of banners snapping in the wind. Behind them the samurai wait, their horses stamping the ground. There's no more room for stealth. The Delta team forms a defensive semicircle, their backs to a sheer cliff. The charge begins. It isn't the organized, cinematic rush of a modern army, but a terrifying, screaming wave of humanity. The Delta operators open fire. The HK-416S roar no longer suppressed as they switch to full auto to break the momentum. Hundreds of Ashigaru fall, their wooden shields splintering like matchsticks under the high-velocity rounds. M249 light machine guns chatter, creating a kill zone that no medieval armor can penetrate. For a moment, it looks like 20 men will defeat an empire. But the sheer weight of numbers is a tide that refuses to recede. For every 10 men that fall, 20 more step over the bodies. An RPG-7, brought as a heavy ordnance wildcard, streaks across the field, vaporizing the daimyo's command pavilion in a ball of fire. The shockwave ripples through the Japanese ranks. To them, it is as if the sun has descended to the earth. The samurai hesitate. This is the moment, the breaking point of the shogunate's morale. Miller knows that if they don't break now, his team will be overrun by the sheer mass of the remaining 2,000 soldiers. He stands, a silhouette of modern black against the ancient gray stone, and fires his last remaining flare into the sky. A brilliant, blinding crimson light bathes the valley, casting long, distorted shadows. In that crimson glow, the two worlds stare at each other. The Delta operators, out of ammunition, draw their combat knives and sidearms. The remaining samurai, their tradition shattered and their leader likely dead, look at the carnage. Over 1,000 of their brethren lie dead in a field that saw no honorable clashing of blades, only the clinical efficiency of lead and powder. The silence that follows is heavier than the sound of the gunfire. The shogunate's army doesn't retreat. They simply stop. The bridge between eras has been crossed, and both sides are left unrecognizable. The Delta team is never found. According to local folklore, they vanished back into the mist from which they came, leaving behind strange, indestructible artifacts of metal and glass that the locals would worship for centuries. The shogunate fell shortly after, not because of a military defeat, but because the myth of the samurai's invincibility was murdered in that gorge. The introduction of such overwhelming force didn't just win a battle, it poisoned the very philosophy of the era. The survivors spoke of men who fought like gods but bled like mortals, leaving a scar on the history of Japan that no chronicle could fully explain. As we look back at this collision of worlds, we have to wonder about the nature of power itself. We often believe that superior technology is an absolute shield, but in the end, the Delta Force was limited by the very things that made them advanced. Their reliance on a supply chain that didn't exist and a tactical style that required an enemy who played by the rules of modern logic. They changed history, but they could not truly conquer it. If you were one of those 20 men standing at the edge of that cliff with one magazine left and 1,000 spears closing in, would you feel like a conqueror or just another ghost in a land that remembers everything? Does the ultimate victory belong to the side with the better weapons, or the side that is willing to lose the most to protect their way of life? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Your perspective helps us build these worlds. If you enjoyed this journey through time and tactics, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more what-if scenarios that push the boundaries of history. Until next time, keep questioning the world as it is, and as it could have been.